A math skill that you'll regularly use throughout your life is being able to compare prices. For instance, which is the better deal here? Well, in this case, similar granola bars, $2 for two or $3.75 for a box of four. So let's write each of these as a ratio of cost to amount. And to compare, we can make an equivalent ratio on this one, but with 4 bars on the bottom to make it comparable. So we multiply the denominator by 2, and to keep it the same, whatever we do to the denominator, we also do to the numerator. So we can see $4 for 4 bars. And that's easy to compare now versus $3.75 for 4 bars, which is definitely cheaper. So in this case, coming up with ratios to compare was fairly easy. And we can see that, well, assuming that you have use for 4 bars, for friends say, well, this one's the better buy. Now, true, there may be other factors that influence your choice. Perhaps one of them is produced locally, so you want to support local producers. Perhaps one of them has healthier ingredients. Given that these other factors may influence your purchasing decision, when we focus on price and amount, we do see a clear winner. Another example. In this case, shampoos. $12 for 180 milliliters or $18.99 for 720 milliliters. So again, let's write each as a ratio of cost to amount. And to compare, we think 180 times 4 is 720. So the second shampoo is 4 times as large. So let's make equivalent ratio, but with 720 in the denominator. So we multiply the denominator by 4, and to keep it the same, whatever we do to the denominator, we do to the numerator, so times 4. So we have $48 for 720 milliliters for this one. And we can easily compare now. $18.99 is definitely cheaper than $48. In this case, coming up with the ratios to compare was a little tougher, but still reasonably easy, that is multiplying by 4. And we can see that based on cost, this is the better buy. Now, true, there may be other factors that influence your choice again. Perhaps you noticed the not tested on animals claim here, and that impacts your choice. Perhaps one has healthier or more beneficial ingredients. Given these other factors that may influence your decision, when we focus on price and amount, we do see a clear winner. One more example, strawberry ice cream. $4.50 for 500 milliliters or $7.99 for 1.5 liters. So let's write these as a ratio of cost to amount. And to compare, we know that 1.5 liters is the same as 1,500 milliliters. And we can see that 1,500 milliliters is 3 times as much as 500 milliliters. So let's make an equivalent ratio, but with 1,500 milliliters on the bottom. So we multiply the denominator by 3, and to keep it the same, whatever we do to the denominator, we also do to the numerator. So 450 times 3 is 1,350. And we can easily compare now. $7.99 is definitely cheaper than $13.50. So this is definitely the better buy. Now, true, there may be other factors that influence your choice again. If you're looking for a small snack for yourself, then buying the big one and getting a stomachache may not be what you want, and you go with the smaller one. Given that, when we focus on the price and the amount, we do see a clear winner. Now, our price comparison examples in this tutorial were all cases where we could fairly easily make comparable ratios and determine a winner. And this is a great way to determine a best buy, as we can often do these comparisons fairly easily in our head with enough practice. Given this as an advantage for this method, it's not always possible, as the amounts may not be as easy to compare as these. So for situations where we don't have nice ratios there, we resort to per unit pricing, which we'll learn about later.